All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a really critical flaw in even the most powerful AI models out there, and a surprisingly elegant solution that fixes it. It's a technique you're going to hear a lot about, called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. Let's get into it. So, let's start with the big question. Why do these incredible models get things so wrong sometimes? I mean, you've probably seen this yourself, right? You ask a pretty straightforward question, and you get back an answer that sounds super confident, super plausible, but it's just completely made up. How can something so smart be so wrong? Well, that's exactly the problem we're here to solve today.
The core of the problem is actually pretty simple. An LLM knows a ton about the public internet, but it's totally, completely blind to your private world. It has no clue about your company's internal reports, your latest sales data, or anything that's happened since its last training date.
And this blindness creates 5 huge challenges. First, there's the knowledge gap. The model is basically stuck in the past, totally unaware of what's happening now. This directly leads to number 2, hallucinations, which is just a fancy way of saying the AI confidently makes stuff up to fill in the gaps. Third, you run into context limits. You can't just paste your entire company's knowledge base into a single prompt, right? Fourth, retraining is a nightmare. It's incredibly expensive, slow, and often very brittle. And finally, all of this adds up to a fundamental lack of trust. I mean, how can you rely on an answer if you can't check where it came from?
Okay, so that's the problem. What's the goal? We want to turn a standard LLM into what we're going to call a grounded LLM. We want to go from the thing on the left to the thing on the right. Instead of a black box that relies on old, public data and just makes things up, we want a model that uses your specific, up-to-date information to give factual, reliable answers, with citations. So how do we make that happen? The solution, our approach, is this powerful technique called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RAG. At its heart, RAG is a really simple 2-step process. Instead of just asking the LLM a question directly, you first retrieve the relevant facts from your own knowledge base. It's kind of like giving the model an open book test. Then, and only then, you ask it to generate an answer using only the facts you just handed it. It's a simple idea, but the implications are profound. Now, if you need that perfect, ready-for-an-interview definition, here it is. RAG grounds LLMs with external, up-to-date, and private knowledge at inference time. That means right when you ask the question. This is what slashes hallucinations and keeps the model's knowledge current, all without that massive cost of retraining. Here's a super simple mental model to help it all click. First, you've got the engine. That's your LLM. It's the brains of the operation, providing all the reasoning power. Then you've got the memory. This is your private data, stored in a special kind of database called a vector database, which is amazing at finding info based on meaning. And finally, you have the connection, and that's RAG itself. Its only job is to find the right memory and connect it to the engine at exactly the right time. Okay, theory is one thing, but let's actually see this thing in action. We're going to do a quick dry run with a really common business question.
So imagine a user asks a simple question. What is our policy on remote work? Now, a standard LLM would probably either say, I don't know, or even worse, it might just hallucinate a policy based on stuff it saw from other companies online. But with RAG, the whole process is completely different.
Okay, step 1 is retrieve. The system takes that question and sends it straight to our memory, that vector database full of all our HR documents. The database does a quick semantic search and finds the most relevant little chunks of text, maybe from a couple of different HR policy PDFs that talk about working from home. Next up, step 2, augment. This part is so clever. The system takes those pieces of text it just found and bundles them together with the original question. It basically builds a new super-powered prompt. It's like telling the LLM, hey, using only the following information I'm giving you, answer this question. What is our policy on remote work? And finally, we have the generate step. This brand new, context-packed prompt gets sent to the LLM engine. But now, the model isn't guessing anymore. It's not trying to remember something from 2 years ago. It's working directly from the source material you just gave it to put together a factual answer. And boom, look at the result. A perfect, grounded answer. It's specific, it's factual, and it's based directly on our data. It even knows the policy was updated last quarter because that little detail was in the document it retrieved. This is just a world away from the generic and likely wrong answer we would have gotten otherwise.
So, when you put this all together, you really start to see why this approach is such an absolute game changer.
This table really says it all.
Let's just go down the list. With RAG, factual accuracy goes from low to high. Data freshness. We go from stale, old data to real-time info. Explainability? We go from a complete black box to a system that can provide citations. But honestly, the biggest one for any business is the cost to update. It goes from incredibly high, requiring expensive retraining, to incredibly low. You just add a new document to your database. It's a totally different way of thinking about keeping your AI up to date.
All right, let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways here? First, RAG slashes hallucinations by grounding the AI in actual facts. Second, it lets your LLM securely tap into your private, proprietary, and most current information. Third, it builds trust by being able to show you its sources. And finally, it is a way more cost-effective method for keeping your AI's knowledge fresh than constantly retraining it.
So, at the end of the day, what RAG really does is give AI something it's never had before, a perfect, private, searchable memory. And with that new power, the real question becomes, what incredible problems are you going to solve with it? Thanks for watching.